Today I'm making green sand for metal casting, and the ingredients I'm using here are sand and clay. There's some different textures. This is kitty litter, is my source of clay. This is just coarse, and this is the fine, which has been ground and sifted. And then same with the sand. This is fine sand that has been sifted already, and this is what I sifted out of the sand. Lots of pebbles and such. So to start with the sand, I just got regular playground sand. It was sort of wet. I had to spend a lot of time having it dry because it doesn't sift unless it's dry. So once it was dry, I was able to just use a normal kitchen sifter, and that separated out the rocks. These large grains, and I think that this is probably pretty good grain size for the green sand. And then for the kitty litter, what I did was I wanted a finer grain size for the kitty litter, so I put it in a blender, just a cheap thrift store blender, and it did get finer. And then I put it through a reusable coffee filter. And this is much finer than the sand that I sifted over here. But these are my final ingredients, so I'd call this a medium sand and a fine clay. I'm gonna try to mix them 90% to 10%, and then tweak it a little bit, add a little more of each ingredient until I feel like the consistency is correct. This is really fine. I'm just gonna pour it into the smaller container so that I can use this to hold my final product. I'm gonna start out by zeroing my scale with the bucket on top, and then add my ingredients. So I'm gonna add about a pound of the clay. And I guess that's all of it. Wait, so that's about a pound of clay. I'm gonna go ahead and add 9 pounds of sand now. If I add all 9 pounds right away, it's gonna be difficult to mix. So I'm just gonna add it a little bit at a time, stirring in between each pour. So this is not oil-based green sand. This is gonna be a water-based. So the clay helps bind it together, not necessarily oil. And again, just keep mixing. And I'll keep adding. I'm gonna go just to 9 pounds so that I can check the consistency. And then I'll add water and slowly bring it to 10 pounds as I feel I need more material. Since I used all my clay, I can't add any more to change the ratio, so that's why I want to play it safe and not go all the way to 9 pounds of sand yet. Means 8 pounds of the sand, 1 pound of the clay. So at this point I can start adding water, and I probably will end up adding another pound of sand, but I'll be checking the consistency to make sure that it feels right. Ideally, when I add water, it would be with a spray bottle and get a little more consistent, but this is what I have to work with right now. And the sort of consistency that I'm looking for is I should be able to grab it, squeeze it, and it shouldn't disintegrate. It should hold its form, and then I should be able to break it apart. So that's what I'm watching for. Of course, spray bottle would help reduce these clumps, but I'll just keep stirring as I add. So it's got a little bit of water in it now. You can see it's a little better. It kind of holds its shape, but again, it's mostly disintegrating, so I'll add a little more. Importantly, you also pull the dry stuff up from the bottom. It's harder for the water to get there. So I'm finding it easier as it gets a little stiffer and stiffer with the water to stir with my hand. The texture is starting to even out. So if I take a little bit clump, squeeze it together, there we go, it's holding its shape and it breaks pretty cleanly. So I think it's about what I'm looking for. I'll probably have to do some casting to see if this is the right consistency, but I think that's a good starting point.